Awesome. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. I just wanted to tell you guys that we are recording this because we will be putting it up. Megan will be putting it up on the YouTube channel afterwards. So I am going to start with an opening statement. All right. So my name is Hannah Sigourney. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am hosting this evening's event on behalf of the Emily Taylor Center for Women and Gender Equity at the University of Kansas. Through expansive programming around gender, the Emily Taylor Center works to engage and empower members of our community to act in ways that challenge patriarchal norms and advance intersectional trans-inclusive feminism at KU and beyond. As a center committed to feminist practice, ETCWGE acknowledges that the University of Kansas occupies stolen Native land and supports the enduring present struggle and resistance of the land's traditional guardians. The Kaw, the Kickapoo, the Sioux, the Osage, and the Shawnee nations. ETCWGE also recognizes that the United States is a society built upon imperialism, white supremacy, capitalism, and patriarchy, and advocates feminism as a movement to end these interlocking systems of domination. Like Black feminist bell hooks, ETCWGE believes that the feminism is for everybody, and at the same time must center the experiences and social predicaments of the most marginalized women and femmes among us. Those who bear the brunt of sexism as a way to improve the collective status of all women and femmes, oh my gosh, at KU. One way that the Emily Taylor Center for Women and Gender Equity encourages practicing feminism is through their Zine programming. By offering free Zine making kits, virtual Zine club meetings, and collaborative Zine projects, ETCWGE promotes making Zines as doing feminism. And so I have worked with the Emily Taylor Center to do my project, and it is mainly around a Zine. So I am going to talk to you guys about the class that I am doing this for at KU. So my leadership class underneath the leadership studies minor at KU is the class that I am doing this for. I guess I could say like the objectives and outcomes of this is for adaptive leadership by having the confidence to design and implement adaptive leadership in the community. And so I chose the Emily Taylor Center just because I was really interested in what they were. I mean, my parents have heard of them, and so I was like, oh, that's really cool. So that was the first time I've ever heard of them, and so I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually really neat, and I love what they stand for, and so I was really excited to hop on this opportunity. So I guess, shall we show the book now? Okay, we shall show the book now. Let's see here. Share screen. All right, can you guys see this? I'm gonna like make it smaller. There we go, the panelist needs to be smaller. All right, so for the contributors that did do a page, we are going to ask you guys to give us a an explanation as to why you designed your page, and just basically show us and talk to us about it. Would love to hear your reasonings and answers to my prompts that I gave. And so let's see. This is just the table of contents, so it tells you who did what page. We're in order. So mine goes first, and then Jyoti's goes second, and then Nikita's is third. So yeah, that is what the order we will do. Miranda gave me a little PDF of what she was going to say. She could not make it today, so I'm going to say what she had to say about her page for her. And let's see here, just to share out the prompts. What does body positivity mean to you? What self-care routines make your body feel good? What do you need to feel nourished, energized, and strong? What can you eliminate from your life that doesn't make you feel good? All right, I will start. So that page on the left-hand side is mine, Body Positivity, and I just kind of had a little sketch with 4 different shapes of bodies and color, and it says, I am beautiful, and I kind of just sectioned off mine in like 4 different parts, because there was like 4 different questions, and I was like, oh, that's easy. I'll just do some bullet points. And for my body positivity, I said, look at yourself in the mirror and know your worth. No negativity. My body is a vessel. For nourishment, I put eating a bunch of protein, more veggies as snacks. Self-care, workout, fresh air, journaling, and family time. And then eliminate comparing myself to others. Cake. I love cake, but I need to get rid of it, really though. And then eating out. I've actually done a really good job lately with making some really veggie-filled dinners with like cauliflower rice and broccoli, and it's actually been really good. So I'm proud of myself. Alrighty, next. Jyoti, did you want to share yours now?
Yeah. As you can see, can you hear me? Fine. Yeah. Okay. So the right page is what I did. So the time when Hannah came up with the topic, it just gave me the various different things I've been doing since 2020, because this year has been a real test. Does that make sense? I had to really redefine, understand, and appreciate my body and the way I eat, and that is what I here. So off with sections. The top row is basically about how I give importance to workout early in the morning, because for me it's a reset. It helps me like start everything fresh. It basically tells try to think positive and self-appreciate. The second section is the mid section of the page, which says eat healthy, eat greens, and go outdoors. Try to read more to learn beyond your surroundings. And I have lately tried myself to hydrate, drink a lot of water, which has helped me. Girls like sometimes say they are very dehydrated. So over the winter, I saw that I was very dehydrated. So I started drinking a lot of water, which kind of helped me. That's what I've included. And there I would have cakes. After sticking to a good body routine, exercise routine, I do appreciate my body with cakes and treats and cheat meals, which is fine for me. I try to have a very sustainable routine in my life. I don't try to fit into the Instagram routine or the which people show in social media. I try to balance the reality and sustainability. On the third section is
I think we lost her.
Do we want to maybe move on to Nikita, and then if Jyoti can join us again, we can kind of go back and let her finish after Nikita's done. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
I know Jyoti's internet connection is not always the best when we meet. This kind of happens sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, Nikita, here's yours.
Okay, so body evolution as revolution, that is what body positivity means to me. It is accepting everything about your body, good, bad, indifferent, and utilizing that to hone in on loving it. So some self-care routines. I take a lot of pictures, as you can see. This topic was actually very, very personal to me, because I feel as though Black girls are not given the space to fully love their bodies the way that they should. We even from like a young age, I just remember like a lot of critique around my body and how it was shaped, because there's a stigma that if your body is mature, then you are engaging in sexual activity. You're going to get a lot of attention from the boys and all of those things. And so transparently, I was very excited to contribute to this project, because also I had a breast reduction. So if you notice in the pictures, I tried to make it a mirror. So some self-care practices is looking in the mirror and speaking positively in regards to my body. And the reason why you see like, I call it a before and after, but really I just, after I had my breast reduction, I really wanted to affirm my old body and also affirm the new body, because both of them are beautiful. And I got the breast reduction because for health reasons, it was really impacting my mental wellness, as well as like my physical wellness as well. And so some self-care for me is looking in the mirror and loving myself. So that's why you see the picture perfect and the words around it, because it's just affirming my body through words. Words of affirmation is one of my love languages. And I think, often we take love languages and we apply them to like relationships with other people, but I'm like, no, we should actually turn that inward and put that towards ourselves. And so that is one of the ways I practice self-care, by affirming my body through words. In addition to paying attention to what's going on in pop culture, I know that Lizzo is a very voluptuous woman. She's also a busty woman. What I love about her is her unapologetic stance on loving her body and herself, regardless of what people and society have said. Like, they have said so many things about her, and she is somebody that really, 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 during my transition after my breast reduction, that really just made me feel seen and made me feel like I'm beautiful regardless of how I look before and how I look now. What do I need to feel nourished and energized and strong? I just need support and empowerment. And so that's why, again, you see all of these words. What can you eliminate from your life that doesn't make you feel good? And so as you see this really bold Black quote, this is actually a quote from an article that I wrote about my breast reduction and the impacts of that. And it was called My Body, Rediscovering My Black Body, and just challenging not only myself to reshape how I speak about my body, but also challenging others and how I allow them to speak to me about my body. Because the reality is you only get one body. And so you create your own standard of beauty. And that is something that is really important to me, especially for little Black girls. I have a niece. I don't know if y'all can hear her. She's outside of the door. She's like, I want to come in, but she'll be 6 on Saturday. And so it's important that as I continue to have my body evolution, I want to definitely empower her as she gets older to speak affirming towards her body. And so that's also why you see in the yellow outfit, why I put a work of art, because I think no matter how your body is shaped, how it looks, we are a work of art. And that is just, I think that's the uniqueness in being who you are. And so thank you, Hannah, for doing this project. I was very excited to do it. Very personal for me, as I have transparently struggled my whole life with body image and self-esteem stuff around that. But I feel like I am in a very affirming place right now. And so it is my hope that other Black women and women in general get to that space as well.
Thanks so much, Nikita. Jyoti, do you want to go back and, since we lost you there, and talk about that that third piece of your page?
Yeah, okay. So if Hannah could flip it over. Yes, so as you heard me talk about cutting down fake foods, it's more about processed foods. And I try to plan my day, and there are times when I pamper, like relax, watch movies or funny videos, go for a bubble bath as an at home, and you can have anything of what you like, listen to music, and I like walking down to the farmers market to get some organic stuff, because I like it. There are days where I feel like appreciating myself, looking into the mirror, and appreciate how I've progressed over years in what I eat, what I read, what I've learned, and things like that. It's My page is um, includes every aspect of a daily routine of mine, which happens uh, every other day. um, and I, by this, I just wanted to tell everybody that you are more than your body. On top right, when I say working out, it doesn't mean that you have to have six packs or have to have uh, like a structure, very very like a model and things like that. Do whatever you can. You really don't have to go to gym. You really don't have to lift weights. You can just stretch at home or just meditate or go for a walk. It's all in your in all how you look at it. And that's it. That is, working out in gym works for me. It's the way I appreciate my body. That's the way I get confidence. But I don't expect everybody to follow the same. It's just an idea I wanted to share, and I just wanted to share positives out of it. I try to see the brighter side. I want to highlight that self-appreciation is very important. You will not get results immediately. You have to have patience, perseverance, and you have to be very mindful of what you eat. And it's a journey. It's a long journey. It's not a sprint to 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 get to where you want to be. It's a long journey. You just have to do your part every day, and you will get there. That's it. And thank you, Hannah, and thanks, Meg, for this.
Thank you. Yes, that was awesome. Thank you so much. I honestly absolutely love your page because it just like shows little stories, and I think that's really cool. And then Nikita, I also wanted to say thank you so much. That was really inspiring as well. I'm glad you were here to actually, say things about your page, because I was really interested in what you had to say about them. So thank you. Claire, I believe you are next if you would like to go.
Hello, everybody. I am way out of my comfort zone right now, but here I am. I just stumbled upon this project. I didn't even know it was for school. That's super cool. I've been out of school for a long time, long enough that I've been to a reunion. But it was cool to contribute towards this scene. And I'm actually super new to self-care and self-love. And it basically started the beginning of this year. I don't usually make New Year's resolutions, but I was I'm gonna set an intention for the for this year was that I was going to take 15 minutes to take care of myself. And that's a big deal for me because basically all of my energy is always going out. Like I referenced it, like I work with adults with disabilities. I have kids. I like really am conscious of adults dealing with homelessness and like adults with addictions. And like, I really am always trying to put out good into the world. And that's an amazing thing, but I don't usually put much into myself. And I started at the beginning of the year where I was like, I'm going to take 15 minutes a day for myself. And I was like, 15, is that too much? Like, should I take less actually? Like 15 is kind of a lot. But like, it's amazing how like the first day that I did this, I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to a playlist that I really wanted to listen to the song. I don't got that time, but I was like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen to this. And that's the first thing I did. And I like, it averaged, it was like 14 minutes and 30 seconds. And I was like, I don't feel like I did it. But like now I spend a good chunk of my day. Like I'll go on a 3-mile walk, like, and listen to a podcast, or I've taken a lot of time to learn about nutrition. And since January, I've lost 30 pounds, which is amazing. Just learning, you know, like a lot of the reason I had a problem with obesity is because nobody ever taught me how to balance nutrition or stuff. And like, so I'm learning that like everything in moderation, you know, like I giggled when I saw like the no cake and the no hot Cheetos. Like I'm still eating hot Cheetos and cake, and like, you know, like it's not the end of the world, but like, just like the 15 minutes that I'm taking, like I've realized that I'm worth caring for too. And that's a really big revelation for me, that like, yes, I put all this out into the world, but like my love is special and I deserve my love as well as everybody else. Like I deserve the care. I deserve to notice myself, like, and not just in a ugh, like this is the best it's gonna be today, but like in a like, I just really want to sit down in my garden and have some tea, or like I'm gonna like go for a walk. I'm gonna sit down and like really taste this scone, you know, because like it's a treat, you know, and just like enjoying time with myself, but not just with myself, for myself, has just made this exponential difference in my life. And like it's making a difference in my family too, because I'm more present for them because I've been more present for myself and I don't feel so stretched. So like I wrote this poem about that. I write a lot of poetry. Poetry is usually how I work things out. And this was just me working out like my thoughts and feelings about like this journey, but I'm very new to it. And like, you can just start anywhere. You can start with 15 minutes. You can start with like an album on Spotify and go from there. And that's like the journey that I've been doing that. I also have been working really hard on writing and putting myself out there with writing. And that's what this was for me, was just like, I'm in a process right now where it's just submit to like everything I can find. So I have a print copy, which is super exciting. But I put my Instagram handle on there, the DDBs, Epic Zines. That's like really focused on my writing right now. I've got a lot of projects on. Like, I'm really excited about a lot of those. And then if you want to follow the self-care journey, like my 15 minutes, it started out as called my 15 minutes, but I changed it to I'm totally worth it, because that's what I've learned in this, is that I am worth this time. And it's ups and downs. It's not all like, hey, life is wonderful. Like there's some of me like taking naps with blankets over my head because that's where I'm at for that 15 minutes that day. But like blanket forts. But yeah, thank you so much for including me in this and like inviting me to speak. And like I'm glad to be here, and it's really cool to like get to hear more about each page too. Like this is a really cool thing.
Thanks, Claire. Yeah, beautifully put. I'm super happy that you got to share out what these 2 pages, I should say, or this whole poem means to you. And I just followed your Instagram, so needed that. Okay, perfect. Next is going to be Miranda's, and I have actually her speech right here. It's pretty short. So let's see here. Okay, she says, "Hi everyone, sorry I can't share this in person. When I first started working on my page, I had no idea what it would look like or what I would say. I just started looking through magazines, and when I saw the word original, I thought it fit well with my body positivity. Our bodies are one of a kind, and this is nothing to apologize for. The world likes to tell us, especially women, what we should look, talk, and act like. Rejecting these demands is radical in itself. For me, body positivity is about embracing and loving our originality, but also building solidarity and support with others who may have similar insecurities. I really enjoyed reflecting on the prompts for this zine, and thinking about what I can do to be more body positive to myself. It's always a work in progress, but I know I'm not alone in that. Thank you, Hannah and Megan, for putting this all together." And then you can just see that she has just those 4, kind of like mine, the 4 topics, the answers to those prompts. She says, "My body is mine," meaning I make the rules. "Ignore negativity." Who's that girl? Oh, that's me. Nourishment, eating a big breakfast. Stretching, protein, protein, protein. And then self-care, spending time doing nothing outside. Journaling daily, cuddling all the cats. Eliminate self-doubt, comparing myself to others, and hot Cheetos. And Claire, like you said, in all honesty, if I ate a piece of cake or had hot Cheetos, I would not regret it one bit. I mean, you gotta gift yourself that once in a while. So yes, that's Miranda's. And then Megan, you're next.
Thank you everybody for being here and for contributing and sharing your pages. I agree with everyone in the chat that they're just wonderful, and it's great to hear your thinking behind what you contributed. So for me, I called mine "Loving Myself is a Constant Struggle." And that's very true. I can read the little sort of piece there. It says, "As a mad white queer cisgender woman with a bipolar 2 disorder diagnosis, socialized within a middle class, white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal culture, I've struggled with perfectionism, poor self-esteem, body shame, and self-hatred my entire life. Thin and athletic throughout junior and high school, my weight has fluctuated since I went to college, and I'll yo-yo between being 150 pounds to about 210 pounds. I've tried lots of different diets in an effort to be thin, lots of different exercises and things like that. And at the times in my life when I'm at my heaviest, internalized white supremacist patriarchal fatphobia really plagues me. And so I say loving myself is a constant struggle. And with my page, I really wanted to emphasize the way that feminists, and in particular, Black feminists and riot girls, have offered me powerful self-love tools, so that even though loving myself is a constant struggle, and I should say that that in and of itself is a play on a Black spiritual called "Freedom is a Constant Struggle." And one of my favorite feminists, Black feminists, Angela Davis, wrote a great book of essays called "Freedom is a Constant Struggle." And I do feel like loving myself would be very freeing. So I also pulled some quotes from Black feminists, Sonia Renee Taylor and Sabrina Strings. Sonia Renee Taylor has an amazing book called "The Body is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love" that I highly recommend to everybody. And Miranda highlighted that as well, right? Like, we all have bodies and we should not apologize for them. And yet women are often, in particular, told that we should apologize for pretty much everything about ourselves, right? So to me, that's a very powerful statement. Sabrina String's work is on fatphobia, and she talks about how fatphobia is very much tied to racial and religious ideologies that have been used to both, quote, degrade Black women and discipline white women. And then I have also a quote from Naomi Wolf, who wrote the book, The Beauty Myth, and she says, "A culture fixated on female thinness is not an obsession about female beauty, but an obsession about female obedience. Dieting is the most potent political sedative in history. A quietly mad population is a tractable one." And then I end with "Riots, not diets," which is like a famous part of Riot Girl slogan. And so basically, yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how, for me, body positivity, self-love is hard. I think that definitely has something to do with my bipolar disorder. Like, you know, self-hatred is kind of tied up very much with depression a lot of the time. So having to work through that. And so also just in general, feminists have given me the frame for understanding the world that I live in, right? And so Bell Hooks has identified our culture as an imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy. And by understanding that as the system in which I'm living, it helps me to not internalize, right, all of these negative messages about my body that I might be receiving from the culture, and to put them in context. And so while it is a struggle, I'm super grateful to feminists, like I said, Black feminists in particular, for giving me like the frame and the tools to not internalize everything as much as I probably would if I didn't have that lens, you know. And I loved what Nikita said about sort of being your own standard of beauty. I think that's really beautiful, and something that I'm gonna, you know, start to try to also internalize. So I say, smash white supremacist capitalist patriarchy, end fat phobia, and end body shaming. And so that's my page. Thanks so much, everyone.
Beautiful, Megan, as always. All righty. So moving on, Megan, with this last one. I know they said that they could not make it. I did not get anything from them that, you know, would tell me more about their piece. So I wasn't sure if you just wanted me to read it or... Yeah,
so this person is from India, actually. And so kind of much like Claire, who follows Emily Taylor Center on social media, and we actually have a Make Zines Do Feminism Facebook group that she's a part of. This person just saw our call for submissions and submitted all the way from India this really thoughtful poem about veiling. And yeah, I mean, I think it's short enough that, Hannah, you could just read it. And even though we don't have the benefit of their reflections, they did want us to express how happy they were and to be part of this project, and how much they loved everybody's pages, and, you know, and send their regrets for not being able to be here with us. So.
Alrighty. Well, I'm sorry if I mispronounced something. I know there is something in that poem that I've kind of struggled with just because I never heard about it before. Is it the Murad? Is that how you say it?
Myriad.
Myriad drapes. Okay. Okay.
Kind of means like a lot, you know.
Okay.
Many. Yeah.
Perfect. So many big words that I'm just like, whoa, you know.
That's how we learn, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
We're all always learning.
So they titled their poem Unveil. So how we wear a veil every day, just that feet, incessant desire to appease them. We adorn ourselves with new pieces of jewels. The way that they want us to be, we masquerade relentlessly, myriad drapes, corseting our bodies, dampening weights, excruciating pains. How the self hides somewhere deep, beyond reach. Can't we reclaim that self? Coveted in the woods, can't we reclaim this beauty, this body, and navigate its will every single day?
Yeah, and I like how that one really also ends on a positive note of reclamation, right? So that's really, really beautiful. Yeah, and then Hannah and I were just wanting to kind of open up the space the rest of the time for discussion. If anybody has questions for any of our contributors, or if there was a page that really resonated with you, or pages, or even if you just kind of want to share as a participant, as a attendee, your body positivity journey and what that looks like for you. So yeah, so just want to open up the space. And again, I just want to thank everybody for their awesome contributions.
How long did each of the pages take for each contributor?
It took me a couple of days just to like figure out what I wanted to say, and then I started on it. The sketching, I'm artistic, but not really artistic, so that sketching took me a couple hours. And then kind of just to figure out what I wanted to put, I just like kept thinking over and over again, what do I think about when body positivity? The 2 Zoom sessions that we had, I said that when I think about body positivity, I think of looking at myself in the mirror and saying to myself positive things about my body, noticing these features and just being, Hannah, you're one of a kind. You're beautiful. So, and don't be so down on yourself about this, because not everybody is perfect. And so that was mine. It took me a few days, a couple of days. So
mine took a day. I sat down, I had kind of thought it out in my mind, and then I sat down. It took me about 4 hours. I was very intentional about the quotes that I chose and just in my mind how I wanted it to look based off of the prompt. So I let the prompt kind of guide how I structured the pages. And I just also wanted to show, I have so many pictures of myself on there because I just wanted to show like the different angles of my body. Like I think I am becoming more comfortable with taking full body pictures. I will tell you, but prior to this breast reduction, I would only take like selfies. And so that was also something that I wanted to really put on the page, but it just took me a couple of hours, and it was actually kind of like, I don't know if anybody on here does like coloring for self-care. I know that's something that I started doing during the quarantine when it first started in the pandemic. But putting together these pages, it kind of felt similar to that. So it was kind of like self-soothing a little bit. So I do plan to contribute more. But yeah, it just took me a couple of hours, and I had me a glass of wine, and it all came out great.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, for me, zine making is definitely a self-care routine. For me, it's definitely a way that I process. Claire had talked about poetry being one way that she does that. For me, making zines, definitely, like I said, I struggle with mental health issues, and the isolation of the pandemic was really hard. And so we had started a virtual zine club, initially with Casey Zine Con back in March 2020, basically as soon as we were kind of quarantining, as a way to continue to stay connected and be creative. And I think it's one of the only things that like kept me sane, honestly, throughout the pandemic, was just being able to meet over Zoom with like-minded creative people and process what was going on. So I ended up with like a mini zine, which is like a 1-page zine that's been folded in a specific way to give you 8 little pages. Ended up with a series of 3 called Cooped Up, and it was all about, mini zine, it was all about, yeah, just like the mental health struggles I was going through with the isolation, the white supremacy, right, that was happening, and the resistance against that. All of that kind of like bubbled up to the surface in these zines that I was making. So yeah, Nikita, definitely, for me, it's a form of self-care and expression that, yeah, if I didn't have it, I think I'm, that if I didn't have it, yeah, I'm not sure I would have made it through, to be honest. Yeah, my page, I don't really remember how long it took, because similarly, I was kind of like conceptualizing it for a couple days, trying to figure out like, what did I want to say? What did I want it to visually look like? And I really like to do collaging. That's kind of one of my preferred methods. And so I included some of that with the body's not an apology and the riots not diets, the kind of ransom note, right, look of the letters. So yeah, I mean, I think, and then what I typically, I would always make everything materially, right? But what I've been doing some more of is playing with doing some things materially, and then scanning those and like manipulating them in Canva or a program like that. So that's kind of a new and exciting way that I'm playing with images and text that I haven't really done before. And so this is one of the first, yeah, examples of that, I guess, for me.
I saw the prompt and I was super excited about it. And then I sat on it for like days and days and days, because I was just like, well, what do I even really have to say about this? Like, I just started learning about self-care. And then it's like, you know what, maybe that perspective is important, like saying like how to get started, you know, because like a lot of the books, it's like, I'm an expert at self-care, or like it's like you're watching these YouTube videos of people who do yoga and they're like so body positive and stuff. And I'm like, well, I look in the mirror and I'm still like I feel healthier and stronger. And like, there's things that I have been working on, and I do like feel worthy now. And that's a big deal. Like, I don't know if I look in the mirror and I say that I love myself yet. I'm not there yet, but like, I feel worthy of the time that I take. So like, I sat on it for a really long time. I wrote the poem, and then I had the poem, and I sat on the poem for a really long time and was like, I don't know, maybe I'll submit it and maybe I won't. It was like the day of, there was like, there's still time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I got the notification and I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do it. So I sent it in, and like, usually I love like doodling and things. If you follow or check out like Instagram page that I have, you'll see like I'm very doodly and everything. And it was just like, like, since I sat on this so long, I didn't have the time to like put in like that kind of aesthetic, but I also like just keeping things simple sometimes. But I mean, this one was just a big leap for me. So really like all the like procrastinating and like hemming and hawing before I got to like actually doing it was a big deal. But I like, you know, social anxiety is a bitch. So that's where I was with that. But I like the picture that I have there, like gardening has been like my pandemic thing, like gardening and baking. I know there's like pandemic bingo and it's like, you know, all the things that we pick up, but like gardening and camping has been that for me. And that picture, like it just happened. Like I was watering my seedlings and I turned around and there was just this heart like on the ground from the water. And I was like, oh, that's just so perfect. Like, so like, that's, yeah, it took way longer to like get over my own like fear and nonsense really than it took to write how I felt.
Well, thank you, Claire, for giving a chance on us, I guess, or, you know, actually being comfortable with this. I feel really honored. So thank you.
I mean, I might throw up after this, but I did it. I'm here. and I'm talking to strangers. I'm really glad everybody is like Kansas. Like that's neat. Like that there's a bunch of like local like zine people, because like I'm part of like the larger zine community. Like I actually just did like a zine making club thing, but it was like with people in England. Like, and I didn't really know there was like a zine scene here, so I'm like excited to like jump into the scene, because Lawrence is a cool place. Like, and I feel like we've got like good people here with a lot to say and good voices. So like,
yeah, and something
I really want to see like what.
Yeah, something to look forward to. Right as the pandemic hit, I had been working with Wonder Fair, and we were going to put together, we had a venue, we had like a speaker, we had all of it together to do a zine fest here in Lawrence, to correspond with Paper Planes Literary Festival. And so we had a mascot, it's this cute little Xerox machine. I mean, we were ready and excited. And so I'm hoping that by next spring, we'll be able to launch Paper Planes Zine Fest. So keep that in mind. And yeah, and if you have a lot of zines and you want to be a vendor, you can apply to be a vendor. Just come check it out. So that should be really fun. And the reason why we're also choosing spring is because our friends in Kansas City at KC ZineCon tend to do their Zine Fest every fall. So we're thinking we'll do one in the fall in Kansas City and then one here in Lawrence in the spring. Yeah, so keep your eyes out for that. And then I think Jyoti, were you going to talk about your? Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much told you what I did in my page, but it's basically took 2 to 3 hours. I had heard about Hannah's idea and those 3 to 4 different questions she was asking about, the prompts. And while she was explaining, I kind of had jotted down what I wanted to answer to those questions. So I kind of had a list of things which I had written, and when I started doodling or doing this Zine, I basically recreated the words into pictures, and that's what I did. And in my mind, it was my first attempt. I did not really do one, scribble and do again and things like that. This was my first attempt at anything called as Zine art or such things. So so far so good, I guess. And I hope it helps and connects to people. And thanks, Hannah, again. And it was great doing all this with you. Everybody did a very beautiful things.
Sarah, did you ask that question?
Yeah, I did.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for the question. That was a great question.
So thank you as well for this. This was really interesting. I loved it.
Good,
Really
good.
glad I came.
Good. Does anybody else have any questions? I know, Atlas, do you have a question? Yeah.
I've got a couple. Like so I have to, let me explain myself. Hi, I'm Atlas. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a trans journalist working with the UDK right now. So coming to this is actually like a really great like time to like step into a feminist space, because I spent a lot of time in like queer liberation spaces or like other spaces, and it's really like it's always beautiful to see like the space. Feminism always feeds into queer liberation, because the like freedom of expression always feeds into like what it is to be fully yourself, free of the patriarchy. Because the same boot that steps on thou steps on me as well.
Yep. It's all connected, right?
Yeah. And so it's really like great to be here and be able to cover this and just like hear like all of y'all's voices on this. But right now I have some just some quick questions to like clarify some things so I can like look back on this later and make sure to get all the great quotes down.
Yeah.
I specifically have 2 questions, one for Hannah and one for Claire, and then I just have a lot of like, this is really cool, here's why I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
For everybody else. I like took notes, it's great.
We're so glad to have you here.
So Hannah, my question for you is, what inspired you personally to create this collaborative zine?
That is a great question. As I was trying to come up with different organizations to work with, I had my fellow peers in my class help me come up with it. But the reason why I chose this one out of all of them is because, in all honesty, I've been thinking a lot more about my body than I have in the past. And I know that as a woman in this society, and you see all these things on social media, and it's hard to really, I guess, be yourself, feel like yourself, know your self-worth, and see these beautiful women on social media that are skinny. They tell you to go exercise, and when you do exercise, apparently your body becomes thin. And so it's kind of it was kind of one of those things where, okay, I had the body project already in mind, but who would be a good organization to work with? And I was really struggling, and I found Megan. Actually, Emily found Megan.
Yeah, somebody connected us. Yeah.
Yes, my professor found Megan, and I was like, oh my God. I researched the Emily Taylor Center on KU's website, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect. And so I'm super happy and super thankful and grateful at the same time that Megan decided to be my mentor on this and collaborate with me on this. And it was honestly like the perfect topic and project to do what they have been doing forever, which is making these zine books. So I do just want to thank Megan 100,000 times over.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving it. Having a chance on Hannah. That's my answer.
Thank you so much. And Claire, what inspired you to start your self-care journey?
Well, I have spent most of my life hating myself, which was taught to me. I had a very abusive, narcissistic mother, and I didn't have the language for it for a really long time. I didn't know that it was narcissism. I didn't know that it was abuse. Like, I just thought my mom was mean, but it was only mean to me, and she wasn't mean to my sister, and she wasn't mean to anybody else. And there was like a lot that I didn't really understand about it. But like, I've been doing counseling and like really working on reparenting myself. And the reparenting myself is new as of coming at myself. Like, I have 4 stepkids, which I always say is a commendation of my husband, because you don't marry a man with 4 kids unless he's great. And he is. But like, becoming, I want to be a parent, and realizing like I really need to change myself. So like, it started as like, what don't I know? Like, I don't know about nutrition. Well, I know a lot more now, but I didn't know about nutrition. I was like, well, I'll just eat a bunch of ramen and I'll eat macaroni and cheese. And like, I was eating a lot of processed foods and like things out of jars and cans, and because that's what I grew up on. But like, learning like, hey, like, here's some knife skills, here's how to cut a vegetable, and like, like just learning all these things and not feeling bad that I need to learn those things. Like, my mom dropped the ball, like, and that's like, it set me back, but it doesn't like end my story that I had all this like abuse and self-hatred in my life. And like really what snapped me into like this process where I'm like, no, I'm gonna learn about nutrition, I'm gonna learn skills, I'm gonna take care of myself, was because of my kids, but also because my husband. Like, I am in a very safe, loving relationship, and we are building something really. I am zero contact with my mom anymore. Like, I tried, and you know, like, narcissism is not curable, and like, if the person who has narcissism cannot accept that they have it, which is very typical, like, there's not going to be any change. So ending that relationship with mom, becoming a mother myself, like, and having this stable, safe environment, like, to grow in, has really facilitated a lot of that for me. I was not living in a way that was safe for most of my life. I'm going to be 35 in September, and I would say 30 years of my life were spent in abusive and unsafe relations. Left my mom's abuse to get married to my first husband, who was an alcoholic. So I went from like verbal and mental abuse to like simple and sometimes physical abuse, and it was just what I knew. But then after that relationship ended, I actually moved to China because I needed some space, and took it real literally and moved halfway across the world. And then after China, I lived in Africa for a while. And like, when you kind of soul searching, then like you have a foundation to build on. And that's like, I did all my soul searching in China and Africa, and then came back with like this cool foundation, but nothing built on it. And I've been building for the last like 5 years now. And like, I look around and my life is really beautiful, but it was beautiful for others. Like, it was beautiful because I have kids. It was beautiful because I'm married, and I like want like my home to be a beautiful place, but like, it wasn't beautiful for me. Like, and learning that I deserve love too, and that I deserve my own self-respect, and that I deserve like good. That's like what I'm working through right now. I feel like that was tangenty. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. That really, I resonate with that story a lot. I also have a lot of problems with my mom, not to the point of cutting her off. We managed to work through it. In coming out as trans, she was the only of my two parents that stood up for me. She didn't 100% support me, but she stood up for me when my father was just like, no, this is bullshit. And so like, I'm able to have that relationship with my mother, but I still suffer with a lot of the like negative learned things of the like, if you're this size, then you're unhealthy. If you're looking at yourself, if you have these things about you, you're just doing bad. If you aren't like perfect, whatever, that, but at the same time, making sure you put yourself, like, I've been trying to like put myself fifth in gear, because I need to make sure that I'm taking care of my family and my schoolwork and my like jobs and like planning my life, and putting all of that ahead of making sure like to like, hey, make sure you drink water today. Hey, make sure that you actually put in time for a shower and self-care. And it's a lot of my like college's journey has been like relearning what not relearning, just learning what it is to be a person and live for yourself and not anyone else.
It's kind of raising for me this idea, right, that we're often taught, especially if we're women, that that self-care is selfish, right? And you know, and as somebody who cares a lot for others, yeah, like kind of viewing like self-care as selfishness, and really having to kind of like retrain myself, and also recognizing that like I can't do the care work that I want to do for other people if I'm not taking care of myself, right? So it's kind of like a combination of both of those things of one, I need to care for myself just because, right? And two, like if I do want to be someone who is caring for other people in a myriad of ways, to use that word, that that it's not about selfishness, right? That it's an important thing. But yeah, just like you mentioned, like even just like taking a shower is sometimes hard for me, and I know that has to do with my particulars and mental illness and things like that. But just like I've tried kind of, and again, it's a struggle, but I'm trying to kind of create routines that are just like very basic self-care, where it's like, check off taking your meds, check off brushing your teeth in the morning, check off brushing your teeth at night. Did you shower today? You know, things like that. And so, yeah, so that resonates with me as well. You know, kind of learning to care for ourselves in a way that, again, too, is not reliant on buying XYZ product, right? Because as Claire mentioned, so much of the societal beauty standards are meant to be unattainable, right? And they're meant to be unattainable, and yet at the same time, you're told, buy all these products to attain it. And yet, of course, you can buy product upon product upon product, and it's not gonna make it attainable, right? So again, like I think having that feminist viewpoint of understanding, like, okay, this is capitalism, right? You know, this is capitalism happening here, tied up with patriarchy and white supremacy, and that is encouraging me to view myself in this negative way, right? And so if I want to dismantle those systems, one first kind of step, and I was about to say easy step, but it's not easy, but one first step is to kind of try and like rid myself of having to conform to those standards. And like Nikita said, right, like making your own standard, right? Like that, I think that's so important.
Yeah. And to like shine a light on what Nikita said on her page. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I actually read something really beautiful today. It's by Rupi Kaur. I don't know if anybody else reads her poetry, but I freaking love it. But it was productivity is not how much work I do in a day, but how well I balance what I need to stay healthy. Like, and I just think that's really beautiful. Like, kind of fit in with like.
Yeah. Certainly. Yeah.
But to shine a light on what Nikita said in hers is a lot of what like is talked about as like having an acceptable body is very like white centric and like objectifying and almost infantilizing of women. And when you, or of like people in general, but like especially women, and when you look at like people with like beautiful Black bodies or Hispanic bodies, or like people who like naturally have these curves, and they are just shunned by the industry. I know that when I still identified as female, I struggled to like even like half pretend to accept myself because I was wearing like a size 16 pant, and like that was cinching to my bones, and my bones were a size 16, and I couldn't do anything about that. And it's a lot of learning to like learning that that accepting yourself for who you are just in and of itself is an affront to like white supremacy, and tolerating, or like not tolerating, loving yourself and being who you are independent of what the system sets out for you is an act of like kind of violence against the system. It's speaking out against the system by existing. And it's important for everybody to always remember that you're allowed to be different. And the reality is we're like, by nature, we are all unique, and those unique bodies create the important diversity for like civilization and people in general to survive. And without that, we diminish and perish.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I wanted to be mindful of folks' time because it is 6:07 and we said that it would go till 6. So I think that's a great way to end, Atlas. Thank you so much for wrapping it up for us in that way. And I just want to highlight 2 upcoming events that Emily Taylor Center is, or programs, I should say. So on Tuesday, the lovely Nikita will be reading from a book called Grown by Tiffany Jackson as part of the free Black Women's Library video series that we've been doing throughout the year and will continue throughout the summer and through the entirety of 2021. It's a great series, just a nice, it's over the lunch hour, so you can just kind of, I view it as self-care, like taking a break, listening to these wonderful folks across campus, reading from these amazing books. So please do check that out. And if for whatever reason you can't make it at that time, we do upload all the videos to our YouTube channel. And I encourage folks to check that out because we do have lots of great stuff up there. I'm pretty proud of the work that we've done on YouTube since the pandemic started. And then secondly, we are calling for submissions for a zine project, a collaborative zine project called Smash the Patriarchy. And the prompts are basically, you know, how does patriarchy show up in your life? How does it constrain your world? And then also, like, how can we dismantle it? Because it's an historical system that started at a certain point in the past, and therefore we can undo it. You know, it's not something that is eternal and unchanging. So I really, really invite you all to submit to that. The deadline for submissions is July 1st, so that gives you some time. And, you know, feel free to reach out to me. My email is mwillia, W-I-L-L-I-A. I think I have talked to you all through email already, so you have that. But would love to have you all submit to that as well. And yeah, and finally, I will be uploading this to YouTube, and I can send you the link to it so that you can see that. And also we are working on closed captioning all of our videos. It's taking us some time just because we have limited resources, but that is a goal of ours. So yeah, so Hannah, do you have anything you want to say to close us out?
Yeah, I mean, just a big thank you. I know that Jyoti left early, but honestly, I may send out an email afterwards to everybody saying thank you as well, just so they all have it, because I know it's a smaller group. I'm really excited to be presenting this to my leadership class, and I hope they love it as much as I did. And I'm really excited for it to be the Spencer Art Museum. I was really excited to submit that, and so I'm hoping that they find interest in it and something happens. So yeah, thank you guys for coming. Atlas, thank you for showing up. Awesome. Pleasure.
And we do have hard copies. I know all the contributors have one, but Atlas, I can connect with you if you would like to have a hard copy as well. Would be really glad to get that your way. Yeah, thank you, Hannah. Thank you, everyone, on behalf of Emily Taylor Center. And be you know, safe and take care of yourselves and continue on that self-love journey. You're all super inspiring to me. So I will see you all soon. Take care.